back to MTFC TV. Joining me at this time is possibly the busiest man in football, Dave Wilde. Dave, first and foremost, I'm sure as our more eagle-eyed fans will notice, we are at the Proctor Stadium, social distancing 2 metres away. How does it feel to be back in the football ground?
Yeah, I've missed it a lot. I live and breathe football. Like you keep saying, I'm the busiest man in non-league. I just like to keep myself busy and work and push the club as forward and as hard as we can to improve. So being back here is massive. We didn't exactly have a smooth transition in terms of when we came into the club. So I think it's quite a bit of a fresh dawn, really, especially with Bryn coming on board today, and obviously Philo, the gaffer, meeting up with him for his first sort of proper meeting. There's a good atmosphere around the club forming for me. Just hoping that we can get fans back in soon as well.
I believe that the last time we were down here, we were just saying before this interview, I think it was March 12th. We just had that heartbreak, last-minute defeat to Warrington. We were planning ahead, looking ahead to the Nantwich home game, I believe. Next thing we know, everything's up in air. Few lads aren't feeling well. Game's called off. Next thing we know, league's called off. Everything's null and voided, so it's like nothing happened. What's your opinion on the null and void in itself?
I understand why it's been done. I completely do, and I'm not just saying that purely based on the position that obviously Matlock were in at the time, but I do. You've got to look at the grand scheme of things as well and feel sorry for clubs like certainly South Shields. I'm good friends with Mick at Vauxhall Motors. They'd already won their league. Good friends with Goody at 1874. They were romping their league. So I do feel sorry for clubs. But obviously the null and void, it was put. You'd like to think it was done with the best intentions of, people's health, which I'm sure it was. I do think it was potentially rushed, especially after the announcement today from Step 2 in terms of their playoff system and whatnot. So I don't know. It's a strange one. It's just there's not really a real answer for it for me. It's just been a really strange period. I don't think it'll ever happen. Well, touch wood. I don't think it'll ever happen again. And I just think we've just got to sort of recognise that it's a pandemic around the world. It's not just a non-league and a Matlock Town thing. And people's health's more important than anything really. It takes a lot for me to say that as well. That's more important than football.
You're definitely football. So we obviously go into lockdown. Players, they've got jobs outside of football. Those that are still able to do them, those that are essential workers. We've got players who partners may be pregnant and things like that. And then you've got to find a way as a coach to keep players motivated, keep themselves fit. How have you found that working with? I mean, obviously we can't mention any new faces, but mention some of the players that are staying, and how have you found they've reacted to the fitness regimes that have been set out?
Well, at the start, we obviously put myself, Philo and Brian, who's obviously now moved on, sat down, well, we didn't sit down, we discussed over text and phone, and sort of decided that we did need to put something in place just in case, obviously, the league was called back in. At that stage, we didn't know that it was going to be null and voided. So we put I don't want to call it an off-season programme because it was more of just a programme to keep the lads ticking over. And they really bought into it. I'd say 90%. Some lads didn't, and with being a bit cutthroat and a bit ruthless, they've sort of done us a favour because they've shown us their hand quite quickly. They've shown us the mentality that they have in terms of pushing themselves, and we want to see that, and we want to be pushing the club and individuals harder. So, like I say, the other 90%, they've been outstanding with it. I've got to give a genuine mention to Chib as well because, he's 33. He'll openly admit himself he's coming to the end of his career. He could have been very easily happy to sort of not pay it off, but he didn't have to go as intent as he had. He's got a pregnant girlfriend and a young daughter at home, and he has grafted and grafted. And I think when people see him come back, I think you'll see another side of Chib. He's lost a couple of kilograms. And he's barely got anything on him as it is, and he's just, I'm in a lot of communication with Chib, and I think we're going to get a really different Chib based on these sort of programs and this new mentality that we're trying to form within the group. So if we're seeing that from Chib, I'm confident we'll see it from certainly the new signings who are coming into the club, some from above, some from below, and your likes of Alex Byrne who are staying, and and others at the club like John Stewart, etc. You know, they're putting the hard miles in, they're putting the graft in because they know that they underperformed last season, and we've got to sort of wake up a sleeping giant that is Matlock Town.
We should mention what I was saying. It's not that we don't want to tell people new players, but it's a case of crossing the I's, dotting the T's, or the reverse of that, and making sure everything goes through fine. And once it is, it's something that you and Philo are very much looking forward to announcing.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm as and Philo's the same. We're chomping at the bit more than anyone. So, you know, we want to outlay our plans and get people excited and get a bit of a buzz around the community in regards to the football, because at the minute that's what everyone needs. But I know I've been stung with this in the past, is that you think you've had a player sign, you announce them, something happens in pre-season, off they go. It's just not worth it, you know. And there's a lot of clubs announcing players, and that's well within their right to do, and you know, it's exciting for them and their clubs. But you know, we've sat down and discussed, and the players are aware as well, that we've got a date that we'll announce. We want all the paperwork done first and foremost. I've obviously literally 5-10 minutes ago had a chat with Keith regarding sort of forms for the league. So I'd say over the next week, 10 days, something like that, you'll see a bit of movement with it. But it'll be a new squad, that's for sure. 1 or 2, or 3 or 4 old faces will be staying, and you know, some lads have been invited back in for pre-season. But you know, we want to shape the squad in a bit of a different mould, a different mentality, a different sense of urgency and work rate, and we want to have a successful season, and we feel that the new group will provide that.
You're very much a man who's into his statistics. I suppose, as I've seen, we've spoke about what you felt looking at the stats, where the club could improve on the scoring front, on the defensive front. What is it about those stats that you feel is so vital to implement?
I just think, I'm not obsessed with stats, because look, top and bottom is that really they're just numbers on paper, and on any given day you can lose 5-0 or win 5-0. But I think it's a valuable exercise to do at the end of a season. Obviously, it was cut short with ourselves, because when there's a large amount of the data available, which there was, you know, it does give you, you know, indications of what's gone on, certainly prior to us arriving. You know, Steve and his staff did a really good job in terms of cup competitions last season, and frankly, the squad that we inherited is a really, really good group of players. What's gone wrong, we don't know, and that's for us to fix. So obviously I like to delve into, you know, all areas, because it allows me to, you know, discuss with Philo and the staff and dictate how we're going to go forward in terms of coaching and stuff. So one of the main things for us was the over-reliance for us on Marcus Marshall last season. We looked at it off the top of my head. I think he scored something like, it was something ridiculous, like 48% of the goals for the club last season. And it's, yes, he's a striker, and yes, he's a really good player, and he's going to be a big miss for us. But you can't have a burden on one person like that. You know, none of the back four or none of the defensive structure scored a goal at all last season. You know, if you're going to be a successful side, everybody's got to be chipping in, and you know, if you're scoring low, you need to be keeping clean sheets, and you know, that's got to improve as well. So I'm not going to sort of start telling everybody everything, but you know, we've done a lot of work across the summer, or this extended break, in terms of really analysing and breaking down areas, and we've gone out and we've rectified the problems.
Very much a case of doing homework as such.
Yeah.
To go into it now, do you feel the front line is the major area that needs improvement overall, or do you feel that it's a case of numerous areas on the pitch?
I think it's slightly unfair that people look at the front line, like I said about Marcus and Chib. Chib's got a really, really good goal record, certainly throughout non-league, but at Matlock as well. And I think it was a bit hard on him last season in terms of minutes on the pitch and stuff to up his stats. But I look at the team on the whole. For me, okay, it's not the players. It's not the players. Every player that wore a shirt for Matlock Town last season is more than capable of playing at this level of football. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been signed. For me, it's mentality, it's work rate, it's dedication, it's effort, it's taking on board everything that's given to you, and it's buying into what this club is, which is a community football club that needs to be close with its supporters, close with its board, close with its, you know, its volunteers and the people working around the club. and generate a real vibe within the community that strives on hard work and, you know, the football club at the centre of everything. So that's one of the big things that we want to do in terms of improvement with the squad, sort of fan interaction and whatnot, and stamp our own style of playing along the way. But, you know, there's a lot to do. We're very excited about it. We're all working hard as are you. And, you know, it's that for me. I don't want to start saying we need a right winger, we need a goalkeeper, we need a centre forward, because I don't think it's fair on the people that are staying. I just think as a collective, the biggest thing for me is commitment, dedication and work rate's got to absolutely hit the roof. It's got to go through the roof every single session, every single week, every single time you're talking about the football club.
You spoke there about getting players up and ready, and I know you've done a few informal training sessions, committing to the social distancing guidelines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of 6 people. I believe there's been 2 so far. There's 1 more to take place tonight, and there's 1 on Saturday that I'm aware of. How are you finding players coming in, new faces and old, and getting involved in these training sessions?
Well, look, we put it to them because it's been such a long layoff that, you know, it could be another month for all we know before pre-season starts. It could be another 2 months, 3 months. So what we're wary of is we don't want to be giving, you know, running, just constantly running and do this in the gym and that in the gym. Yeah, it's all very good and it'll improve, you know, multiple areas, but we want to get lads on the ball. We want to get lads sort of immersed as a group. I think we can utilise the small group sessions to sort of form a team bonding before pre-season starts. And, you know, let's have it right, I think everyone needs a little break from just sitting in their house with the girlfriends and the kids and just watching the TV all the time, because frankly there's nothing else to do. So, you know, as soon as the guidelines changed, you know, Philo and myself put a message out to the players that these, you know, sessions will be made available if they want to do it, and the buy-in to it's been massive. And for me, you know, that shows that our mentality is already creeping in, because, you know, they're going out of the way. No one's getting paid at the minute. You know, it's and that's what we're looking for, and that's what we're seeing is buy-in, hard work, dedication, and they're the 3 words you'll get out of me all season, or for as long as I'm here, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 3 days, whatever. But that's what I live and die by in terms of how we set up, and I know that Philo's exactly the same. So
I know a few fans, and you've mentioned yourself the community element. I know a lot of fans felt that the previous reserve side, the academy side, which was in the MPLFA structure, that went last year, felt that they'd like to see that come back. I know, from speaking with you off camera, it's something that you're keen to do, not right now, but it's a case of getting it sorted and doing it right.
yeah, absolutely.
How important do you feel having a youth set up at the club is?
I think that it is important, but I do think it's got to be run correctly. I think, you know, there's lots of clubs out there that have it for the sake of having it. I think if you're going to have it, it needs to be structured correctly. It needs to be interlinked with the first team, and, you know, all sort of singing off the same hymn sheet, for want of a better phrase. But I do think certainly the academy set up with the MPL is a really good tool and a good cog to improve any football club at the level, because, you know, you're getting the better players or the best players from the area. You know, they're getting a good education with it as well, and they're keeping themselves in and around, you know, an extremely good standard of football. You know, you just have to look at the MPL programme as a whole, to the amount of players that have come through. You know, there's been 2 last year, or the year before, sorry, at Matlock that I know of. We had Dylan Fitzgerald at Mosley, who's gone on to do, you know, multiple starts at Bet Victor or Evo Stick or whatever it was when he was playing at the time, West levels, you know, and he was really good for us at Mosley. He's gone on to Glossop now, and there's stories like that all over the league. So, you know, for me, I think it's an important tool and cog that we should, you know, look at reintegrating. But again, we have to be honest, is right now we've got to get other things in place first. But I do think that, you know, down the line that'll be back integrated with the club.
One key sentence that stuck out to me when I've spoke to you in the past is that you're very determined to not have the club in the same sort of space it was in the year gone by, and okay, battling relegation, having to worry about where the next 3 points are coming from. You're very, very intelligent about pushing that. Well, you know, it's start of pre-season technically. That's still been nice.
I wouldn't say I was intelligent.
But it's about getting that commitment, that drive into the players, and getting that idea that they want to play for Matlock Town, is that from the new recruits especially something you've come across and you feel you're getting out of them?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be. Look, when we I know it's been a very strange, month, 2 months, 6 weeks, whatever it's been in terms of being able to actually meet players, because we haven't. 90% of it's been on the phone. The other 10% might be the odd Zoom call, or it's just been a bit chaotic. But we had a list, and we've always had a list of players that we wanted in. As always happens at clubs, you speak to players that we've not managed to get over the line, or for one reason or another something's sort of not come through with it. But listen, I'm absolutely adamant that every single player that we've brought into this club has already bought into what we're trying to do. And what I will say, and as ruthless as it sounds, and this is coming from Philo, who is ultimately the manager and the person who makes these calls, is if they don't follow that mentality or that work rate, they'll find a way very quickly out of the club.
As you can tell, if he did, someone's arrived. Who knows who? But we'll find out. Because clearly that's be loud. So going forward, what's your ideal sort of squad size? I know a lot of managers tend to operate between 20 and 24 players. Do you feel it's important to have depth in every position?
I don't think we need 24 players for the season. I think all that would do is ultimately cause needless headache for Philo, to be honest. I think we'll carry a squad of 19, 20, I'd say, and then 1 or 2 lads will probably play for local sides. We've got Nathan White coming back from a long layoff, so we're going to have a chat with clubs about getting him some minutes and stuff. So I think for me personally, I think 24 is just slightly too many, just purely based on the fact that you don't want too many with slap backside faces in the stands every week, but we'll be around that sort of figure, your 19 to 21s in terms of volume of players. So yeah, we'll have a look into that over the next few weeks. I think we're looking at probably having about 24, 25 in for pre-season, and then obviously we'll cut it down and do what we need to do.
Speaking of pre-season, we're thinking pre-season friendlies, we'll play X team, we'll play Y team, we'll play Z team. Currently, we're not sure when football's going to be back. Obviously, Premier League, Championship levels back. There's no indication from the government when we'll be back yet. How difficult is that to plan for, knowing that the possibility could be the league starts with no pre-season, the league starts perhaps next year, it's still so up in the air?
I think it's got to start with a pre-season. They can't just expect lads to go from nothing to full flow. When that'll be, nobody knows at the minute. I do feel that something is coming though. I think the way that like I said earlier, the Step 2 situation has now been handled, which is now every level of football is sort of done and dusted now in terms of they know where they're going with it. So it's not been that difficult, to be honest. We're fully planned. There's the schedule in place. The players know it. All the sessions are prep ready to go for what we need to do for fitness, tactical, and style of play and whatnot. But friendlies are all in place. You've got to remember that all other managers, like Philo, they're in the same position because they've got a plan, thinking as normal. So there's friendlies in place. There's things in place. So I just think it's a matter of when we get the date from the FA, everything will either be on the dates that we've planned, or they'll be shifted left, shifted right, shifted up, down. But everything's in place, everything's fine.
Right, I think we'll cut it there. Lads are arriving for training. You obviously want to get set up, so thank you for your time.
Yeah, no worries.